friends, in this video, we're going to teach you terms related to elections that you can apply universally and some Taiwan election-specific terms.
各位，这个礼拜台湾有一件大事
Yes,
就是台湾的大选。
it's our Taiwanese presidential elections this week.
我们要选出总统、副总统，
Yes, we're going to select our president and our vice president
还有立法委员。
and our legislators. Presidential elections are always a big deal in Taiwan, so you can imagine that it is on the news every single day. And in addition to being on the news in Taiwan, we also have a culture of having political commentary shows.
再解释一下啊，看你能不能接受。您刚刚讲说，当时要蓝白合，表示说要集合两边的力量才有自信。我承认。
These run on most news channels, most nights at 9 p.m.
没错。
Iona and I have actually avoided these shows for a long time because sometimes this can fall into specific rhetoric for different political parties. But this year, we've actually noticed a difference. As we were watching these shows, we noticed a lot of new terms that we thought would be interesting to share with you guys.
对，现在的政论节目真的变得很好看，因为我们以前都觉得政论节目都在吵架，所以我们都不是很喜欢。但现在呢，就比较能够尊重彼此发表意见的空间，觉得那个相处方式让人很舒服，所以觉得这是一种民主的进步吧。
Yeah, so if you're an advanced learner and you do want to watch these shows, consider this a quick guide to watching those shows. And if you're an intermediate learner and want to kind of bolster your terminology around politics or Taiwanese politics, this is definitely the video for you. But there will be terms that are useful for having debates, conversations in general.
好，那我们开始吧。
Okay, we're going to start with a lightning round of all the keywords that you need to know with regards to elections. With 3 core words is going to get you super far. But again, the objective is not for you to learn and remember them right now. We're just going to blast through them so you really get a sense of all the related vocabulary you can learn through these 3 keywords. And again, you can find all of these words on the Skritter deck. And of course, you can always take a screenshot now if you need. First, with 选 elect, you can actually have all of these related vocab just with the character 选
选举、
大选
选民、
候选人
选区、
选战
辅选。
Next keyword is 票, the actual vote, or usually sometimes can be known as ticket, but in this particular context, it always means vote. Okay.
选票、
投票、
拉票、
拜票、
废票、
开票。
恳请赐票。
The next keyword is 党, which means party, and you can get the words
执政党、
在野党、
大党、
小党、
无党籍、
党员、
党中央、
党主席。
党工。
That's right. Now, to give you some supplementary vocabulary on the political commentary shows, 政论节目, the people that go on these are often referred to as
名嘴。
famous mouths. But when you see them, when you see the title on the actual show, it will say 政治评论员, like a commentator of politics, but most people refer to them as famous mouths, 名嘴.
是媒体人。
That's right, or media people. You'll also hear from different representatives within the parties, either their 发言人 or their political staff, which is
幕僚。
That's right.
那我们来介绍3句常见的句子，在政论节目里面常见。
Yes, we're going to look at some common sentences, with the first one being
选战到今天倒数10天，这2大阵营对决的结果到底会如何呢？我们来分析一下。
This is a great opening line that you often hear on these shows. So I love the term 阵营, and I think it's a very specific term when you're talking about elections or campaigns. It specifically means that particular camp. I think the only other time that you would hear it is maybe in the context of war, but
board
even
games?
board games in those kind of competitive competitions. But here always means one particular political camp. And what's specific about Taiwanese election culture terminology is you'll often hear colors. You often hear different colors representing different parties and also different depths of colors to show how dedicated you are to a political party. Now, what are the 3 colors that we've been hearing for this particular election?
蓝营、
The KMT or 国民党,
绿营
the DPP 民进党
白营
the TPP 民众党 and as I mentioned, if you're hearing different spectrums of color like 深绿深蓝 this usually means they're very fierce and
对
loyal supporters 浅蓝浅绿 means this way
swing
leaning
vote-
yeah
swing
not
voters?
quite swing voters but that way kind of more leaning more likely to vote but maybe not as loyal and swing voters in Chinese is actually
中间选民
or I've also heard
摇摆选民
that's right. But I personally feel like 摇摆选民 in the context of this Taiwanese election can sometimes mean people that are undecided in a slightly negative way. Maybe people that just haven't made up their mind yet. But 中间选民 is the best way to describe a more neutral, middle of the road voter.
接下来是一个日常也能用的句子，就是我想知道你对这个议题的立场是什么。
Yes, I want to know what your opinion on this particular topic is. So in this sentence, 立场 can mean opinion or stance. And often you'll hear them debating different policies or different news points, which
要把
might-
你的立场讲清楚啊！
立场 in this context can mean your opinion or your stance on a particular issue. And here the term 议题, generally speaking in the context of these shows, is probably the news item of the day. And if you want to specifically talk about policy, you would use the term 政策 rather than 议题. But this is a great sentence to use when you want to know someone's opinion about something.
你要讲清楚你对这件事情的立场是什么啊？讲清楚。
讲清楚。
最后一句，这次对手提出的这个说法，你们的支持者有什么反应？
Of course, this is an election, so often the terminology surrounding elections is of a competition, right? And that's why we hear the term 对手, your
对
opposition. And you also hear a great keyword here, and that is 支持者, a supporter. Now we're going to cover some election terms that are unique to Taiwan. So before we covered some general terms that you can use to describe your own elections,
对
but these we hope we can give you a little bit more context when you're watching Taiwanese news and probably feeling a little overwhelmed.
对
The first terminology is actually a term from Hokkien Taiwanese to mean make a sneaky move, and that is
出奥步，但是台语是念出奥步。
that's right. But when you see it on a news headline, you'll often see 出奥步, and that's a direct transliteration
对，没错。
from Taiwanese. Having taken a pause from all of these political commentary shows for about probably 4 to 6 years, coming back to it, there was a lot of new terms. I was
so-
like, what does this mean?
对
And one of them was 小鸡,母鸡, and I was
对
like, what are they talking about? And what does that mean?
台湾人呢会把比较高层级的选举，像是总统或是县市长的选举候选人称为母鸡。
Yes, the mother
对
hen.
然后层级比较低的选举，像是议员或是里长候选人，称作小鸡。母鸡带小鸡就是一种浮选，也可以
right.
称作拉票。
Yes, to support an election or to pull
对，拉票。
pull the
Right.
ticket. So this is a term you would probably use more likely with people of the same political leaning to indicate that you're trying to get more tickets for your candidate, right? To 拉票.
另外一个是我们两个真的都觉得非常好玩的。
And that is 空战 and 陆战. Air warfare and ground warfare. Again, initially when I started watching these shows, I was like, what are they talking about? But it
对
turns out that 陆战 means
实体活动，像是扫街拜票或是造势活动。
yeah, so in-person events, whether it's a big campaign event, whether it's the candidates driving around in cars, whether it's them 拉票 or 拜票 on the streets, these are what they refer to as 陆战,
没错。
ground warfare.
对
And when it comes to 空战, this means internet warfare,
没错。
as in how much momentum is the candidate creating online. And finally, what is particularly exciting about Taiwanese elections is our 造势活动. We often have
对
huge campaign events, and obviously this is very unique to a democracy, a Chinese-speaking democracy.
对
And these are often very fun, passionate events
很好玩。
with a very unique speaking pattern. So
没错。
often you will hear candidates on stage say, "And do you agree with the policy I am seeking?" Because in English, I guess you would only say, yes. But as you guys know, Mandarin has a very specific speech pattern. You can actually say, 对不对？好不好？是不是？ Right? So you can imagine this speech pattern is particularly useful in a big event. So imagine if I was like, and do you agree with this environmental policy? 好不好？对不对？是不是？There was actually a very funny faux pas because people are so used to parroting whatever is being said and very instinctually that when an opposing party to the current government was saying, and do you think they've done a good job this year? 你觉得今年执政党做得好不好? The answer should have been 不好. But because people are so used to hearing 好不好? So you got a whole crowd cheering how and then suddenly realizing, wait, hang on, we were supposed to say 不好. And finally, the term that you will hear probably the most throughout this entire Taiwanese election campaign is frozen garlic. Frozen garlic.
Frozen garlic.
And if you're wondering, why is everyone chanting frozen garlic? It is actually Taiwanese for to be elected, right?
对，当选的台语动算。
动算. And often when people are typing it out to kind of make it look cute, they will use the characters 动 frozen 算 for garlic, but what they really mean is 当选. For example, if it was 陈大明 running for this election, you would say 陈大明
动算，
陈大明
动算，
大明大明大明
动算，动算，动算。
That's a very common pattern.
对，我很常就经过那个造势活动的时候，我其实就跟着一起念，也不知道他们是谁，就一直念，还蛮好玩。
All right, guys, we hope you found this video useful. So in this midst of this election fever, that you can decipher more of what's on the news. And actually, you're not allowed to participate if you're a foreign national, just FYI. But feel more involved in these elections and hopefully use these terms to talk about your own elections.
好，那我们下次见，拜拜。
Bye. 陈大明
动算，
陈大明
动算，
大明大明大明
动算，动算，动算。